10 years ago today, I was in middle school. I was in Miss Snyder's 6th grade social studies class, and I don't know what was going on. What I do remember is that at one point, Miss Snyder had turned on the TV, and on the TV were two towers that were on fire. There were a lot of smoke. That's basically the biggest image I saw, smoke. And at this time, I didn't know what the World Trade Center was. I didn't know why those two buildings were on fire, and I didn't know where this was all happening. And so there's this classroom of us, I would say no more than 30. We're all in 6th grade, we're all about 11 years old. And we're confused, and that's basically the best word that we can use to sum up the feeling in the room. We were all just confused. And what I do remember eventually was, at one point, details were starting to come in. The commentators were explaining what was happening, and then they kept showing clips and clips and clips of what had happened. And, this was before we saw the images of the planes going into the towers. All we saw were clips of the towers on fire. And it was the same exact clip, just being repeated. And at this point, my imagination started working up. I was worrying for the worst. I was thinking, we're in Maryland, and this happened in New York, and New York really isn't that far away from Maryland. And as the TV is playing, or the TV is on, we also start seeing images of the Pentagon being hit. And that's when I started really worrying. We're in Maryland, and here we are between New York and DC. Are we really safe? And keep in mind, I'm 11 years old. And safety is kind of one of those things that 11-year-olds expect in life. And here we are wondering if we really are safe. At the time, my dad worked in DC, and the entire time I was just worrying, will I get that call that says, Zaheen, your dad was killed? And the entire time I was just imagining, how will I react to this situation? What will happen if my teacher gets that phone call, she calls me to the front, and then she tells me this news? And so, I'm sitting at my desk, and I'm quiet, and I'm worried. When will I see my dad again, too? Are we really safe? I would say no more than an hour later, I ended up going home. My mom picked me up, and we just went home. And that day, a lot of parents came and picked up their kids, and it was just a chaotic situation because one, the school board wasn't really announcing that the school was closing early, but at the same time, parents were flooding in, picking up their kids and going home, and we didn't know what was going on. And so when my mom brought me home, the first thing she did was she turned on the news, and at that point, one of the towers had fallen, I believe. And so it's just more confusion, like, what is going on? Why is my mom paying so much attention to the news? Why was my teacher, who never really turns on the TV, why did she turn on the news? Why did I go home early? Is everyone okay? What's going on? And, later we find out, later I start to understand that the World Trade Center was hit by two planes. It collapsed. Lots of people have died. But at 11 years old, you don't really comprehend the severity of the attack. You just, it's just information that's presented to you. And yeah, what do you do with this information? Where do we go from here? And the days and the months after 9/11, at least, in that first year, it was a feeling of almost paranoia, and no one felt very safe, not within my family. Things eventually calmed down, I guess you could say, but for a very long time I wasn't allowed to go outside. I wasn't allowed to play with my friends, and I didn't understand why my mom wouldn't explain to me why I wasn't allowed to go out and play with my friends like I usually do. And what was worse was I was starting to see the other kids in the neighborhood. They're coming out, they were playing with their friends, and here my mom was, and she wouldn't let me play with my friends. She wouldn't let me go out. And I was just it was very confusing. It was frustrating almost, but she wouldn't explain to me, and I came to realize this a lot later, that I wasn't allowed to go outside simply because, one, I'm South Asian, you can see it from my skin color, and two, I'm Muslim. And it was just like immediately, my mom knew that there was this giant feeling of prejudice and racism just like coming from that one day. And I didn't realize it then, I was just 11. But like, you know, it's a very big dramatic change for someone to go from enjoying life and being normal to not doing anything and, you know, having to stay in the shadows, more or less, to be under the radar. And so that was my life for a while. It was very uncertain, I guess you could say. And here we are, 10 years later. It's September 11th, 2011, and a lot has changed. Here I am, I'm just sitting on the lawn in front of the Washington Monument, and it feels good, you know. I'm allowed to be outside again. It's an exciting thing, because I don't know what happened, but we all seem that sense of freedom has come back. You know, I don't have to worry about being outside. You know, I can freely be who I am, and it feels good. It feels good. This country has come together in a lot of ways. You know, we were scared that day. We were all scared that day, but now we're all stronger as a result. 10 years later, that uncertainty is gone. I feel perfectly safe, and even though there are helicopters just constantly going around here right now while I'm recording, and even though there's police, you know, patrolling, I'm still safe. I can easily be out here in the middle of this giant field of grass in front of the Washington Monument, and I don't have to worry about a plane coming down on me. I don't have to worry about someone driving by and shooting me. It's just, I'm in America, and it feels great, because I don't have to worry about these things. And I don't know if the camera caught that. That was a plane going right behind, like, it just went right by the Washington Monument. 10 years ago, if a plane had gone by the monument, everyone would have been scared. Everyone would have been concerned that it would fly into the monument, as opposed to past the monument, by the monument, around the monument. These uncertainties are gone now. It's 10 years later, and I like it. You know, I like that we're a stronger nation, you know, we here in America. And I like, it's just, I don't know what else to say. It's a good feeling. That's my story. You know, I was in 6th grade, I was 11, and I didn't know what was going on. And, you know, just thinking back in hindsight, I still don't know what's going on. You know, I'm 21 now. And just like looking at the facts and looking at these numbers and looking at what had happened and seeing old clips, they give me the shivers. Like, I feel like really bad. But at the same time, there's no way I'll ever be able to comprehend what happened that day. And, you know, just meshing in these experiences, me 10 years later and me 10 years back then, it's like, wow, I was alive on 9/11, and I don't know. That's it. I just don't know. And so, for this last bit, I wanted to leave you with one lasting, strong image, and that's the Washington Monument, and its strength and its glory, and it's still standing today. And we've been through a lot in these past 10 years, and we'll continue to go through a lot in the next 10 years, and the next 10 years, and the next 10 years, and so on and so forth. And what I hope, the traditions I hope we keep, is the tradition of our people being strong and being proud of this country, you know. I don't know what else to say, just the fact that we've been through a lot and we stayed together as a country. And, you know, more or less, we have been a very stable country and we are very proud of our country. So thank you for watching these sentiments. Thank you for watching this story. God bless America.